It seems like we're living in a time in which people are leading self-sustainable lives. I mean, every day you see more people starting their own garden, and lots of them hope to one day feed themselves. That sounds like a dream within its own. However, I must warn you, some plants out there should never be in your garden. Unless, of course, you know how to handle them, and you prevent the dangers it might mean to you and your family. Today we're going to be looking at some dangerous plants that you should stay away from. And I have a feeling a lot of you might have a few of these in your gardens, or at least a garden near you. If you see them, make sure you know how to handle them. And if you don't know how to remove them, then get the help of an expert. Let's check out these plants and find out which one is the most common of them all and which one is the most dangerous. With all that said and done, let's begin, shall we? The oleander. I'm actually guilty of having a few of these in my own yard, I just don't really pay attention to them. Not everyone gets plants for the purpose of feeding themselves. Some people just like to have nice flowers around them. However, oleander is a flower you should probably not bring near your living space. Its colorful petals and the way it blooms during the summer might make you want to get one, but this plant has been known to be highly toxic to the human body. Some of its parts have cardiac glycosides, which can cause cardiac toxicity and all sorts of problems to your digestive system. People who ingest them have been known to suffer a lot of health issues, including some that might result into a coma. Now, I know most of you wouldn't eat a flower just like that, so you might be fine. But if you have kids around you who like to put things in their mouths, then this flower you should stay away from. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Rosary pea. If you live in Florida, you might be familiar with this plant. The rosary pea is not only dangerous, but also a very invasive plant. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, each seed of these plants contain a type of poison called abrin, and apparently there's enough abrin in a single seed that could lead you to your death, if you were to swallow it. For that reason, the rosary pea has been used as a biological weapon, and some people even link its use to terrorism. Also, in parts of the Caribbean, some people have used them as jewelry due to its bright colors. However, when people started selling the products to places like the UK, the selling of these had to stop because they found out just how toxic they could be. So, it might look like a beautiful plant, but don't let it grow near you. American pokeweed. It's quite tempting to try fruits from trees and bushes once we see them growing, but you should totally avoid that if you're not sure what kind of fruit is right in front of you. Because eating unknown fruits could be dangerous, like the pokeberries that grow in this plant called the American pokeweed. This plant can be found all over the US and other parts of the world, and it is known for its purple berries, a kind of fruit that you should never eat. These things can cause you nausea and vomiting as well as low blood pressure. And again, if you have children, you should totally keep them away from this kind of plant. They usually mistake the berries for grapes, so teach them to differentiate edible plants from non-edible plants, and warn them to stay away from trying unknown fruits. The deadly nightshade. I guess this one is pretty self-explanatory. No one will want to have something deadly in their garden. But what does deadly nightshade look like, and what can it do to us? Well, you can recognize this plant by its black berries. I think even the color is quite scary already, so I don't see why you would want to try it. The roots, the stems, the leaves, and overall, the whole plant is full of alkaloids that can cause a terrible rash just by lightly rubbing your skin against it. And 2 of its berries are more than enough to kill a child, and 10 to 20 berries can kill an adult. So please don't let this grow near your home. It's not the kind of plant you want. Lily of the Valley. This ornamental flower is quite popular in outdoor gardens. When you look at it, you can see that these flowers can be a great visual addition to any outdoor greenery. But apparently, some people have not realized just how toxic it can be. The lily of the valley has cardiac glycosides and saponins, which are elements that can do some serious damage to your heart if you were to eat them. Some people, and even animals, have gotten terribly sick just by drinking water the plant was in. So that gives you an idea of how awful it would be if you were to eat the whole plant. Now, I don't see why anyone would want to eat it. In fact, I don't even understand why someone would drink the water where this plant was in. Rhubarb. How come rhubarb made it to this list? I mean, some people even use it in their cooking, and I'm sure lots of you have tried rhubarb pie at least once in your life. Then, what can be so dangerous about this plant? Well, we added it to this list because this plant is actually considered toxic. Apparently, ingesting large amounts of rhubarb can cause damage to your kidneys. But don't worry too much about that. Research has shown that you would have to consume at least 5 kilos of rhubarb for it to affect your kidneys. So don't worry about eating the pie, or about using it for cooking. Just like any other food, consume in moderation, and you should be fine. Foxglove. The problem with foxglove is quite interesting, since foxglove produces a substance called digoxin. This plant has been used for the creation of heart medicines. However, if you were to eat large amounts of it, it would be the equivalent of having an overdose of heart medicine, which interestingly enough would cause heart failure. For that reason, it is recommended to keep this plant away from children and animals. And don't try to solve health issues on your own. Overdoses are no fun, and you can make things worse rather than helping yourself. Wisteria. When it comes to dangerous plants that can grow in your backyard, wisteria is probably one of the scariest ones. This plant can cause a lot of health issues, such as dizziness, headaches, vomiting of blood, excessive sweating, and a scary drop in blood flow to your brain that could eventually end up in loss of consciousness and control of your muscles. It is said that the symptoms last between 5 to 7 days after ingesting berries from this plant, and unfortunately, some people don't survive it. Wisteria surely looks great in any garden, but it should never be part of anyone's diet. Dieffenbachia. And here's another plant that should never be ingested, the Dieffenbachia. And I know a lot of you would never ever even attempt to eat any of these plants, but do you remember when you were little, how innocent you were and how you touched and ate things like dirt and other stuff that you were never supposed to go near your mouth? Well, children today are not any different. They're very curious. And so are pets. So for that reason, I'm warning you about all these plants so you're aware of their dangers and how they could harm your kids and animals near you. In the case of this plant, ingesting it can cause excessive drooling, pain in your mouth, vomiting, and loss of appetite. I'm sure it makes a great decoration for indoor and outdoor spaces, but keep an eye on them if you have pets or little ones around you. Hydrangea. Isn't it one of the most beautiful flowers out there? The hydrangea is so popular that you can even see it depicted in works of art and tattoo designs. This plant comes from Japan, and its name derives from words that literally translate into water barrel, which explains its constant need for water, and the jar-like shape of the flowers. These days, eating flowers has become kind of a common thing. I see them more and more in soup and salads, but if you're someone who is into that, just please don't eat this one. Ingesting the flowers can cause an upset stomach, skin irritations, and sometimes it can even cause convulsions and coma. So just let them grow into your garden. There are plenty of other flowers that you can eat, but this one is not one of them. Rhododendron. If you're familiar with flowers and plants and herbs, you know that you can get honey out of rhododendron. That's right, this flower is not only great for its looks, but it's also a source of a sweet substance that some people use for recreational purposes. I'm not going to emphasize on that. The substance is called mad honey, and even though some people enjoy eating it, it has toxins that can cause confusion, low blood pressure, and sometimes, well, death. In fact, the earliest case ever recorded of mad honey poisoning occurred in the 1st century before the Common Era, when Roman troops got poisoned by it and they got so confused that they lost a battle. Just the right dose can be fun, but eating more than the suggested portion can do some serious damage to your health. So just keep that in mind in case you're interested in trying it. Also, it's illegal to eat it in some places, so you might want to consider that as well. I'm sure a lot of you enjoy growing your own gardens. It's a great recreational activity, and in the long term it can really enhance the looks of your outdoor spaces and even provide your own food. If you have plants in your backyard, I hope this video opened your eyes to things that could be a threat to you and your loved ones. Now, the picture I chose for today shows 2 different mushrooms that I'm sure you find quite disgusting. But are they really that dangerous? In the case of the white one, some people call the bleeding tooth mushroom, it's definitely not edible. But it's also not poisonous. It's just that it's uncomfortably bitter, and seriously, there's no reason or benefit for you to eat it, so just stay away from it really. Now, when it comes to the red one, the smell alone will make you want to stay away. This one is called the octopus stinkhorn or the devil's fingers, and it smells like rotten flesh. So seriously, why would you even eat it? But even if you did, the thing is not poisonous, just gross. Now, back to plants. I still have 2 more to show you, and they can cause some serious issues to your health. And the worst of all, they could be in your backyard already. Our second to last one is poison ivy. Of course, poison ivy is on this list. It's probably not as dangerous as most of the plants on this list, but it is one of the most common plants that can affect you, and that's because you don't have to eat them to experience symptoms. This plant causes an allergic reaction that manifests in itching, redness, and swelling of your skin. In some serious scenarios, it can even cause breathing problems. Make sure you learn what it looks like and learn how to distinguish it from other greenery, because this one could easily blend with any bushes and green plants without you even noticing. Angel's Trumpet. And at the top of the list we have a plant with a name as deceiving as it looks. When you see what it can do, you'll realize that there's nothing angelical or heavenly about the Angel's Trumpet plant. Sure, it looks great, but people who ingested it claim to have experienced hallucinations and sometimes even loss of consciousness. I'm sure it'll look great in any tropical garden, but I'd choose other options if there are pets or kids around. So there you have it. Those were some of the most dangerous plants that can grow in your backyard. All I hope is that you and your family are safe, and I seriously hope that none of you would ever have to experience the negative side effects of these plants. Which one do you consider to be the most dangerous one? Have you ever seen one of these in your garden? Let us know in the comment section down below. With all that said and done, I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.